Donald Trump has really upset his base, not the base that he pretends to have, like voters or whatever. No, I'm talking about his real base, the millionaires, the indeed billionaires who've supported him the most. I want you to flash back to his inauguration. You remember he's standing there and just surrounded by billionaires, richest people in the country, richest people in the world, all standing in class solidarity with their guy who they bought and then gave the White House to. Well, they've been suffering a little bit in the economic chaos, which you don't generally see. It's usually just us. No, they're suffering too. Of those who were standing on the stage with Trump, they have lost a collective $209 billion since January 20th. Which is less than 2 months ago. That's an amazing amount of money. And you probably are wondering, and either way, I'm gonna tell you how it breaks down amongst the different billionaires. Well, of that $209 billion, I'm sorry to say that the majority of the losses have been Elon Musk's. He's lost $148 million, but Jeff Bezos is on there, 29, Sergey Brin at 22, Mark Zuckerberg lost 5 billion, and Bernard Arnault, not really familiar with him, but he also lost a lot too. They have lost more than you and I and all of us collectively will ever have, and isn't that just the saddest thing? Now that's just those billionaires, the Trump crew. All told, $1.39 trillion in market value has been Thanos'd since Donald Trump was sworn in. That's a lot of money. That's trillion with a T, just in case I'm slurring my words or anything. And so it's a pretty stark contrast to the trajectory of the economy leading up to Donald Trump being sworn in. So, or even just, between the election to inauguration. Between that election and the inauguration, the S&P 500 hit record highs. Musk's Tesla gained 98% in the weeks after the election, also a record high for them. Even Meta, Zuckerberg's thing, that gained 9% before the beginning of the new term, and an additional 20% in the first 4 weeks in office. And you're probably wondering, well, like, why would they go up so much between Trump winning and Trump getting inaugurated? Well, because they assume we're gonna get a massive return on our investment. There's gonna be deregulation, there's gonna be massive tax cuts. They're gonna allow, you can consolidate, buy up other companies. Like, it's basically the Wild West, but the corporations are all in charge once again. What they didn't, I guess, expect was that he would do all of the things he'd been saying he would do, the trade wars and all of that, the cutting the contracts, the firing people and everything. And whoops. He did that stuff, and now they're suffering in the same way that we are. They, of course, can fall back on the other billions of dollars they have. They can afford eggs, as so few can these days. But yeah, all told, the S&P 500 has lost 6.4% in just those roughly 6 weeks. That is the cost of Donald Trump as president. That is the Trump crash that we have been talking about. Just on Monday, when he wouldn't rule out a recession, it lost 2.7%. So we're gonna talk more about Musk in a little bit, but let's talk generally, Trae. Those billionaires, the market, that is a lot of money just set on fire. What do you think?
I've been wondering about this, curious about this happening for a very long time, like even during the first Trump administration, really just when I think about MAGA's whole ethos and whatnot, because one of the things I tried to comfort myself with was I was always like, I mean, we all at the end of the day know that like the real people that run the country are the billionaires and the plutocrats and the oligarchs, right? Well, complete societal collapse has got to be pretty bad for business, right? Like there's no way, there's no way that's what they want to happen. Like all the way, even them as bloodless and soulless as they are, if all they care about is profits, that's bad for profit margins. So like, why are they on board with all this stuff? And so I've been waiting on these chickens to come home to roost or whatever for a long time. And I'm very curious to see where they go from here. There's a cynical take on it. It says that like, oh, well, they're okay with purposefully bottoming everything out so they can just like buy it all up for pennies on the dollar and reshape society and their image or whatever. And perhaps that's true. I guess we'll all find out soon. But yeah, this is something I've been wondering about for a long time. So I'm really curious to see how it plays out with these people.
I agree. Yeah, that cynical take is the take that I gave last week. That was, I don't I'm not going to go so far as to say I think that's the only or even the main reason that Trump is doing all of this stuff. He is evil and he is stupid. All of that is true, but he also could just also be stupid. He could think that this trade war is a good thing. Like when he lies about how tariffs work, like maybe he really thinks.
Okay, so on that note, a thing I thought was very interesting recently about Trump was when he threatened to fire all those people if they didn't deliver the new Air Force One planes or whatever on time because they were they weren't up to code or however that works. Like he was like, forget the code, forget the regulations, like I want my planes. And that made me realize, I was like, oh, he really does, he doesn't think that, governmental regulations or the FAA or safety standards or any of this stuff, he really does think they're all bogus. He doesn't think that they do anything because I know he wouldn't endanger his own life, so it's like, I think some of this
that's
stuff,
interesting.
I think some of this stuff he, as many planes can fly this guy as you want, but not his own. I don't think he would disregard that kind of thing if he didn't actually believe that it doesn't matter. So I think that he is dumb enough to truly believe some of this stuff. I don't think all of it. I mean, who knows? I'd sooner lasso the moon. My co-host of my politics podcast, Weekly Skews, his basic theory that he probably got from somewhere is that there was some article from some economist in 1993 that said that America, for greater economic might, should annex both Canada and Greenland, and that Trump saw that, thought it was smart, and is just running with that just because. But it's point is, there's no telling how random his reasonings could be, or misguided, or chaotic, or dumb, or whatever. So
look, obviously, I don't like Trump getting what he wants, and I also generally think that government regulations are a good thing. But I'll give him this one: if he wants his plane to not abide by all his regulations, I'm okay with it. Get it to him as fast as possible. Corners sometimes need to be cut. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?